in the rough. Seems to me, on first impressions, that it's one step back for a hopeful 2 steps forward.
Very much agree with you, because the way I look at you may look at Seiko Archie is probably equal, or maybe if not marginally better in terms of that striking firepower. But again, in this grand final, this is a baptism of fire, Relic. It's can Dang step up against 3 players, and let's not forget one key detail. There is a world champion on that roster. He deserves all the respect nonetheless.
Most certainly. Scrub Killer, he has certainly been around the block. Some will say a troubled career. Some will say a career where he's already done it. He has nothing more to prove except what he can do the older he gets. With age comes wisdom, and our first drive here is going to come the way of G1. Of course, a little bit rusty at the back. I'd say rusty if they play together for a bit longer. It is a very fresh roster, and to be fair, we can give them that amount of leeway.
Certainly so, but at least with use comes arrogance, Relic. You can sit there, make those mistakes and not care. When you are that player like Scrub, you are known to play at the level. If you drop, everybody's going to hit you. If you do well, it's expected. There is no room for having additional love or what should be credit to the man here, but that's a decent shot on target by the man who is under the spotlight.
Big palm away, big moment, best shot opportunity of the game thus far. Atomic wanted to keep it close, doesn't quite have it. And Dying clears the ball before Resi can pounce onto this opportunity. Lovely pass to Dorito, by the way, upfield, though quickly disassembled this particular attack. Growly towards net, Dying to the side. Resi drives forward, and here's Scrub Killer looking for that opener. Dorito, good reactions. Here's that high press we talk about, Danny. Another good opportunity created for Hogan mode, but no goal to show for it yet.
Certainly so, but I'm going to just give everybody, especially Hogan fans, maybe a taste of realism here. Very much an attacking side. When they're on the treble commit, it cost them. I've been in a few tournaments here, Relic, where you just thought, that's a bit cautious, that's a bit dangerous, and suddenly it could be beneficial. But that's at least a nice 1-2 play to get upfield.
2 certainly a number that's relevant in terms of the roster as well. Not the number that we should be worried about, though. We should be looking up at the scoreboard, and it is the man of the moment. It is Scrub Killer to open things up in the grand finals.
Fabulous to see. Just challenge the young man, made the pressure, but arguably speaking, it's his 2 experienced counterparts making the mistake, pushing up, leaving that vulnerability. What you have to do is make sure there's one deep back, especially when you're playing with 3 very aggressive players.
Atomic and Dorito, the 2 men in question. Atomic and Dorito, 2 previous winners of the Rising Stars Odyssey just 1 month ago. Dying isn't on that list. He's joined the team in the last month, and he won't be on that list with defending such as this.
You can sit there and give him time, and you might need a mentor to give a nice word or 2 into the air. But you have to step up. You have to become a man in these moments here. You cannot afford to sit there and crumble under the pressure. That's essentially what has happened in the last 30 seconds there.
Indeed, it was a very close semi-final for Hogan mode. Perhaps a semi-final that should have been closer for G1 had SK put away a number of chances which were well created up until the final moment where the ball should have simply been put into the back of the net. No issues for Hogan mode in that particular department. 2 already on the board. And G1 struggling to find any sort of midfield control here. 2 minutes left on the clock.
Nice idea, at least to get that ball fluttered into the middle. And that one by Downs, an awful pre-jump in terms of what you're trying to achieve.
Gorgeous.
But that is goal number 1 by G1. That's a key one here.
Atomic with the Midas touch. It's a big miss from Growly. It's a huge committal from Resi. Scrub Killer occupied by Dying, who's gone to harry and harass. 1 goal game again. G1 starting to come to life.
Oh, good. Fabulous. What a kick-off.
And we're going, folks. It's a wonderful kickoff. It's a fake into a little dance-he-do for Atomic. The checkered flag flies, but we're not at the end of this game just yet. 1:44 still to go. Parity restored for G1.
What a series this could be. Maybe be a classic for the European history, but only game one here. But I want to touch a little bit on a point here. You mentioned about the two semi-finals. One side really didn't have a close series. Arguably speaking, that might cost them in terms of warming up here.
It's very possible. It's very possible. One lulled into a bit of a false sense of security, the other with absolutely none. But quite frankly, with the jail keys, here comes Scrub Killer once again.
I hope there's not a simple great escape here. Tom, Dick and Harry trying to get through the tunnel here. Fortunately, claps right under. And you know what? We might not have a great film here. G1, my. Defensively, we praised them. That, however, has not been the greatest start in the first of this grand final.
Digging themselves a hole defensively, and the only way is down, it seems. It doesn't seem to be getting better. They gotta outshoot Hogan mode, and it's why I've been looking so forward to this grand final once we found out that it would be Hogan mode. It really does feel like a team of a match of who has got the best offenses. And in game number one, as it stands, that is Hogan mode, but there's still 45 seconds for minds and hearts to be swayed.
Oh, fabulous idea. On target, at least forces one player out here. You want to talk hearts and minds, that was into the heart. Anything into that middle could be potent here, but G1 have got to play clever than that. Shooting right at the keeper will not get you a goal that cheaply.
Demolition's out. But a lack of communication, they're looking for a high press themselves. G1 didn't quite figure out the ergonomics on it all. Dying goes up. Long way to go to find that blue net. But there has been a demo. It's Atomic, Dorito, Dying, and there's your third.
Fabulous! There might be doubts on this young man. There might be comparisons to what Ollie might bring to the table. He had two maybe defensive blunders, but that's the biggest pivotal moment here. Stepping up, scoring for the third one. And Relic, this should be an OT unless something crazy happens here.
It's going to be a controversial move should it come to pass. We are only at the beginning of Roster Mania. The season isn't even fully out in regards to RLCS. But despite the lows, despite the lack of high-level consistency, Dying has something about him. As does Hogan mode, and lurking in the orange half. You're expecting them to do something, almost do immediately then. Scrub Killer back on target, and there's Dying on hand off the line. Crowley moves forward now. Backboard, they have to get rid of this G1, and eventually they do.
Great transition, moving across here, getting to the backboard, and everything about that. Forcing offenders out, and to anybody sits there and doubts this G1, especially Dying, sit back, take a chair and learn your lesson. What an opening.
Just clutched up, didn't they? Resi, very unfortunate. Right place, albeit half a second too late. Needed to be a little bit closer to the line, might have heavily relied on his own post to get it out, but it would have just made the difference, I feel, on that occasion. Super close game, even in regards to the shot count. It's why we headed to overtime, no. But Dorito, Dying, and Atomic all contributing to an excellent performance all round in spite of their defensive woes.
You know what will be a point where this series might actually come down to, especially that opening by G1. They let two very cheap goals go, and this is not me trying to harbour it on to the fact, really. It's just, these are the difference between the bubble teams, the teams that are trying to be professional, aspire to that top 16, and we're talking about some maybe in the major, that season's not being over. That's what they're trying to reach to. They have to sort that out, and G1 will have made Hogan's life much more difficult here if they sort that out.
Oh, I can hear the cries of the Hogan mode fans. A bubble team, he says, a bubble team. Well, bubble has been popped. It's all fair and well, getting yourself a Game 7 win, showing that you've got the mentals to be able to do it when it matters. But they had an opportunity there, Hogan mode, to get a Game 1 win, and they didn't. They let G1 back into the contest. They saw G1 take that overtime opportunity themselves. They have to prove it all over again in game number 2, and Scrub Killer at the near post will be snuffed by Dorito on this first attempt.
Good catch by Resi. That's at least opening a line. Double commit by G1. Again, There are signs here where it just shows you maybe that's the communication. Maybe originally Dying might speak the native language a bit more, should have been less likely to occur. And it's just a learn here, Hogan, to have a free sight into the defensive side, not to really get a play on the things, but just to make them think, and that's all what you need sometimes.
Supermax, more Ola. Both teams certainly playing to their max potential, however, and here's the shot! Flips it under the bar, Rezi gets Hogan mode ahead.
The last time we heard Super Max on this one, it was Super Rixie back in the Rising Star, what would have been, 2-3 years ago under this old format relic. We might see a few names follow that simple verb and adjective, but here, Atomic's got a few things to do.
Do it, he shall. Oh, do it, he shall. It seemed like nobody was willing to close him down on this occasion.
What was Growly thinking? Throw yourself onto the player or the body, take something out of Relic, because you have tears, I'm having screams internally going, why?
Everyone looking around, no one wishing to claim responsibility. The ball almost looking around now saying, somebody hit me please, and Rezi completely bluffs this one. Dorito dying. Catastrophe for Hogan mode.
Oh, but credits here, look at this. Soft idea, plays it across, doesn't hit too powerful, allows the ball to be basically hovering at the perfect level, and thumps it in, and Scrub's sitting there like a clothes peg right now, and only thing he's missing is the washing line to hang off.
They both might be RLCS caliber, but it certainly looks like Bubble Team defending to me as Dying throws it to the midfield line. And going cross-field now, they're not going to reach it before Growly. Scrub Killer loses the race to Dying. It'll be Growly up again, ahead of Atomic. Growly moving forward, Rezi in support, Dorito up off the backboard. Rezi has to go back a little too far forward. Scrub Killer ultimately with a shot. Dorito chases it down. Rezi now infield once again, has options, ends up with Scrub Killer. Lovely move to deny Atomic a piece of it, but here's Dorito to bail him out. Another great challenge from Hogan mode. Again, the press is fine. There's no shots on target. G1 have got their act together.
Fabulous, but Hogan needs to have a man in the middle, or at least somewhere upfield to bang the ball to. It's been pretty much one-dimensional. You can read it as far as it comes, as Rezi's shot will eventually break through.
Interesting. I thought that this was going to go a different way. We see Scrub Killer go towards the backboard, no real threat, but almost like a ghost touch from Dorito, slices it a bit too much. It does catch out the two to the east side of him. On the west side, you've got someone ready to put it to the back of the net. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, 2-2 at half-time.
Team has seen more lemonade come through here. G1 defense can't rest and have that deck chair, read the book and relax here. It's pretty much Hogan sorting the pressure here, and we might see a pip or two just squeeze and leave a few worrying faces.
1.5 games in, 11 goals. I'd say if you've turned up to this wonderful Rocket Baguette / Rocket RB stream, you got your money's worth already. Hopefully plenty more where that came from. Remember to follow and subscribe if you're feeling fanciful. Plenty more stuff on the way from Rocket Baguette, that can be assured. Although for G1, the first thing that's on their minds now is to try and clear this. Once again, it's Hogan mode on the attack. Lovely defense to the near post from Dying. Growly body blocked effectively, and there's the clearance.
Oh, what a ball by Rezi. You just thought there might have been a moment, a bump would have been actually probably better than the redirect, but again, Relic, we actually somewhat stagnated on the goals there, with 11 so far here. There hasn't been one here in the last 30, 45 seconds that has been threatening enough.
Yeah, whoa! Errant touch. Respect from both teams. Nice to see, but it does mean that the midfield action has slowed down a little bit, as I think both sides realizing that as much as they can try and outshoot each other, maybe just shoring up the rotations a little bit might actually be the right thing to do. Commits 2 defenders to Scrub Killer. Atomic reacts, gets the demo on Rezi. Low boost, infield, helped out by Dying. Central, Dorito on target, uses his own post. It's Captain Scrub again.
What a pass though, to the back wall. Should be dropping this one down with some at least resemblance of a drop. but that's been sent down quite already here, and Dane's done all what he can do.
Difficult one. Oh, and that was straight at Atomic, found its way through the eye of the storm. Sometimes it's better to be more lucky than good. Rezi. He sees Scrub Killer potentially as an option. Dying interferes. There is Scrub now. Atomic caught backwards. Isn't able to stop this forward momentum. There's Dorito. Growly goes up. Completely misreads it. Dying backboard. Rezi, a bump between himself and Scrub Killer. Dying was hoping for a bit more near pressure from Dorito. Bumps abound. Dying allowed this. Completely throws it in the path of Growly. Forward, backboard, second OT on the horizon maybe. Rezi waits, and eventually it will hit the green staff at 2-2.
Effectively a restart with a kickoff. And when Hogan thought they may have the upwards momentum, unfortunately time is unfortunately under nobody's control. That shot will be wide. Rezi's done well to tip this one up here, and Growly in a 1v1 here.
Oh, he's in front of them, he waits, and he gets the bump! Rezi scurrying like a squirrel who's just heard the... He knows what's on the pavement, and he curb stomps this one into the goal mouth. Tie series.
Oh, what an ending to game 2, and to follow off that's all, folks, teams.
All Looney Tunes. It's getting a little bit loony here in the box, but I'm crazy about Rocket League, and I love it when two teams can unabashedly have a go at scoring goals. I do really enjoy watching tactically astute teams and defensively mindful teams, and we did see a lot of that in the second half of this game, Danny, but ultimately, it does come down to who scored the most goals, and whereas G1 are able to throw a strong start from Hogan mode back in their face in that first 5-minute period, here we see a much more sensible Hogan mode finding that opportunity after coming under the cosh for a bit. A lovely comeback, and I think we've got a grand finals on our hands, not to be too cliche.
Oh, we certainly do. There has been nothing here that's been far from what we expected here. Two offensive powerhouses. I'll be selfish enough to say this, Relic. I wanted the 1-2-1 type games better, in my opinion. The defensive sort of struggles and hires that tactical mind here. But when you have the ability to show your creative side and flourish onto that one, who will blossom in these type of moments? That will be such a wonderful thing to see, especially when we have the young players of maybe the next generation showing it why.
You know, the best thing about museums is you got your Monets, you got your Mozart, painting a pretty picture here as Atomic, but once again helped by a bit of a porous defensive effort from Hogan mode.
This time at least it was on Hogan's mode. We've been talking about G1's era. It's nice to see both sides at least human in that regard. But mind you, could be a paintbrush of the finest quality, or maybe a bucket and spades here, because that one's just been put into the middle, lumped effectively, so there wasn't much precision onto it.
The thing about building sandcastles as a defense is that eventually the waters are simply going to wash it away, and well, that's certainly an apt description of both defenses for the majority of this series. A shame to see Hogan mode getting a little lax in the opening stages of game number 3, an important one in the minds of many. But they're straight on the attack once again. Lovely pressure, nice rotations through the midfield. That's a doink, was dangerous, not threatening enough in the end.
Really seasick with how that one moved across. It was bobbling effectively across here into the backboard. That's bold, that's brave, foolish some might say. And Joe Watts here, if he called it, fair play to him.
It's a blurred line, isn't it, between the brave and the moronic? A very blurred line indeed. Sometimes we can't see it as casters, sometimes the players just simply know what they're doing. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this occasion. Still 1-0, it remains. Big demo here. It's a 2v1. Atomic all on his own, does so well just to sell the dummy to Rezi, has to go near post. And now with players respawned, Atomic ends up giving it to Growly. 100 boost steal. Dorito trying to get a clearance through, but there's Rezi in the way, dying at the attempt, and he is successful.
Apparently so, but dying, rushing that original last pop. Oh, that's a great save. The shot there was fouled, at least tempted to the top right of the corner. But Joe Watts here, what G1 has done has shored up that defence here. It's not that sandcastle. It's been made of potentially cement at the moment.
Stronger stuff. Up high, down low. Again, Dorito playing it safe, and it's a good thing he did. In that anchor roll, he's picked up possession. Bumps ahoy for Atomic. Spiked up and down. Rezi. Love the call on to Growly, who's missed out on the 100 boost. Unfortunate. Trying to sell a dummy. Manages to suss out Atomic, but here's Dorito in support. Atomic with the demo, sending Growly back to base.
First touch near side post, so basically keeping the pressure on the same ground. And it will just be a case of with this flank of play, and that's dangerous. Scrub's just being a nuisance here. But do you know what the problem is? There was no commitment following through. If you're going to do it correctly.
Goes in field. Atomic, Dorito sees Growly. Growly does so well to shrug him off. Atomic back into the center. It's brilliant, but it's a massive reaction from Growly again. Puts on the cape and flies away into an aggressive stance now. Scrub Killer driving into this backboard. Dying, fumbles the ball, but Rezi 2, it's Dorito. Double commit, but it's nearly on target. Atomic has to react. Registers the save. Another demo. Rezi in the way. Hits that backboard. Got to sweep around. Manages to get the 100 steal over one. Here's Dorito near post. Again, too strong for Rezi.
Neither side's willing to give this ball a rest here. It's been thrashed around by both sides. The Scrub will eventually try to go to the back wall. Down with this time a soft touch here. It's a case of both sides need to slow the pace down, just like the second game here. We talked about maybe what they were shoring up defensively. It's going too quick here by both sides to make anything meaningful. Oh!
We talked about the high press many times, but this is the problem, is if you got a nice curver, if you're going to see an eye through the storm, if you're going to find a needle in the haystack, pick your cliche from the deck, folks. It all means the same thing. 2-0 G1. And unfortunately, all of that pressure means zilch for their opponents.
It was really walking up the red carpet and was just waiting for the paparazzi to snap the photo and say, "Hello, everybody. I'm walking in here, shooting and stuff." It was the freest ball they could wish for. And once again, Relic, we are questioning when that is the simplification, but this here will at least divide attention, and all hail maybe Scrub.
Atomic caught out by Growly, very passive, and then this caressed pass down to Scrub Killer. All of a sudden, that aggressiveness becomes something a lot more refined. A little bit of push coming out from Hogan mode. They've got 30 seconds now to find a second.
Right, that was the right idea, but not the execution. The pass and play there should have been a ball whipped across, and
pitch.
that's at the backboard at least. Strong too, but credit to Atomic for killing it there.
Oh, it's a massive moment for G1, who throw it downfield. Rezi has to start from square one. Demoed. Oh, it's Atomic. Scrub Killer sold one. It's a massive moment now for Hogan mode, and Dorito chooses possession. So wise, so intelligent. Dying over to the far wall. Rezi keeps it up somehow. Growly readjusts. Oh, supremely well, but he can't do it a second time. G1 reassert their authority in the series. 2-1.
Oh. For a second there, that last touch, I thought he may have snuck it onto the wall there. Maybe a bit of Velcro would at least help. But this almost feels like two sets of teenagers running around basically a play pit right now. They are let loose to do what they want here. No sense of consequences. There's no points to worry about or invitational. They are doing what they want to. And when you're playing with freedom, Relic, it's such a liberating feeling, and that's what both sides are doing, and that's why we're seeing such brilliance, at least on the offense, when there is at least a defense to hold off.
Sometimes an analogy works out, doesn't it? Let's bring it all the way back around. A very expressive game of Rocket League where, as you rightly say, both teams feel like they can play how they want to play more than perhaps play the way that they should be in that particular scenario. In the end, this time it favors G1. Hogan mode will have seen themselves in a similar position up against Sharland, of course, where they won a game, then Sharland win a game, Hogan win a game, rinse and repeat. Hogan mode go to game 7. They win that one in what was ultimately a landslide and a much needed one for them, but a very different prospect here against G1. They're the one who find themselves in the ascendancy. It's a demo on both sides. It's a falling from the heavens moment for Growly. Not the first time his defending has saved their blushes. And here's Rezi. Oh, almost Growly down the other end. Unfortunate.
An eclipse of the ball and a gap that was almost thin enough, but only for air. That should have been tucked away here, and Dine has made a Horlicks of this one. Should have been controlling this ball a lot more better, especially with all the demos, especially with how Hogan's just swarming him. And for the young man himself here, that's too much pressure to put on anybody's shoulders.
Growly is popping off in a big way, but here's that Hogan mode issue yet again. Had that been on target, it's goal number one. Luckily for them, it wasn't. It isn't. And they've got to make hay while the sun is shining. It's a handoff, and here's dying in field. Atomic's not going to be sold on this one. Dorito down to Growly, who gets a piece of it. Up, readjusts. Out goes Rezi. Growly, there's Atomic with the dispossession. And Dorito striding forward now, but has to give this one up.
See here, Atomic takes his time on this, and I'm not a fan of that. Just launching the ball, cheap possession given away. Should allow G1 to take that extra second. Yes, you're allowing Hogan mode to get some boost here, but this is where I am talking about the quick, fast gameplay. Yes, it might actually favour G1, but what are you doing with it? What are you achieving with it? And it just feels like they're forcing themselves to go on to attack too quickly here.
Yeah, they're starting to double commit. It's not egregious because they're able to win these challenges, but the moment that they don't, it's big trouble. And there's Growly again, registers yet another save in this series. Oh, that fell so fortuitously for Dorito. And this time it's Scrub Killer. We're getting an ask for a pause, though. Some connection issues abound, it seems, and just shy of the full 3 minutes left on the clock remains 0-0.
I'm going to say at least there was one good thing, that at least Scrub did save that, and it wasn't the pause as the ball going in and our poor admin team having major panic here, Relic.
It seems like it was just a minor thing, apparently. So it looks like we're set to go pretty soon, but a very dicey opening couple of minutes there for both sides. Wasn't really clear cut as to who was going to get the breakthrough, because as much as I would say Hogan mode had the better by-the-by opportunities, because they continue to be totally absorbed by this methodology, by this game style. I mean, we mentioned it earlier, that G1 breakaway just a little bit more to the left, and it's 1-0 down, lag or no lag.
Well, certainly so, but again, it's one of those situations where you don't want to even be in that, but as long as you have that defensive player who is able to cover it, it's the risk versus reward type argument, Relic, and that's sometimes what the players got to calculate. And Hogan mode, credit to them, they're willing to play with that risk, and that's given them here. But there is at least one other piece of news here. There is a kickoff coming.
4 seconds have been added onto the clock. Yes, it doesn't seem like much. Yes, it does seem like a very spur of the moment, but a big shout out to a wonderful admin team. It's John, aka Always, on the refereeing mic as it stands, and great respect given to both teams as we get going once again. Remains 0-0. It's like it never even happened. Something's got to happen eventually in this game, whether it's G1 finding the lead, whether it's Hogan mode, fighting back, looking to tie things up in the series. We await the results.
Dorito and Scrub decides not to wait. They're going to force the issue. Demo on the right-hand side of the pitch, and Dine just sends it down and gives himself space to work with. This is right now the right play at the right time, but Growly just pisses away at that ball and just goes, "You're not having it."
Oh, Rezi overcommits. Atomic, it's 1v1. Can Growly save the day again? Well, it's actually Rezi with a huge demo on dying. Scrub Killer down the other end. Nice second touch, but Dying gets enough of it. Double commit, and Scrub Killer's got to scurry back now. Growly holds up the play for a little bit, straight into the mittens of Atomic. He's got an aggressive player ahead of the town, and for Scrub Killer, he's able to scurry out to the side, but not for long. Here's Atomic again. Rezi almost beats all three players. Growly last line of defense.
Growly, that's a nice delay on the things here, and that's a lovely idea of a cut Unfortunately, the angle was always facing away from Big Idea. Good demo. Double commit here by Hogan Mode, but was that the right decision? Seems so. What a drop by Growley. Should be a ball being passed to the side. It's clear, and unfortunately, a double commit stops Hogan's dreams there.
Ran straight into the crossroads, didn't he? Dying straight into the path of Scrub Killer. Gets another bit of the ball. Atomic, that's the backboard. Head straight down. Doesn't find the near post. Snuffed by 2. And here's Scrub Killer on the counter. Like, no, recycled out by G1. Smart play. Growley, the ball hits the top of the box, so it limits the range with which he can clear this. Atomic forward now, tries to stop it, tries to be clever, but it's Growley with yet another save. We're into the final 60 seconds, Danny, and still no closer to an opener, unless... Boom! It's Growley!
The fuse has been lit in game number 4. Finally, the dynamite has went into the mines and has caved open a lovely area to explore, and that's Hogan Mode tying up this series. Of course, that requires it to hold the biggest task they have to do here.
And he deserves it, Growley. He really does. He has been the star of the show in game number 4. But there's still 40 seconds left to navigate. A second would be gorgeous. Atomic, big read from downtown and whips it. He's got support. It's dying! Massive save from Resi. They don't have a 4th player. And Growley now counters. Downfield, looking for the read. Infield pass, no one was there.
Down scuffed to slimes though. That was a poor flick. And this one allows Hogan Mode to have a free shot there. And it's just been thumped to the wall there, and if you just almost felt like rinsing through your bones because it was the wrong play. But when you have 10 seconds against you, you have to make a decision. Dorito pops it up. This one has to travel all the way down.
They've got to have one more idea. They've surely drawn up the blueprint. Oh, unfortunate. The ball refused to leave the ground, and when it did, time had been essentially decided. It was done. It's over. I would say unlucky that they didn't get another chance there, but the result is what it is, Danny. Hogan Mode draw things up again on the series scoreline.
Well, credit to them for at least doing that, but let's just spare a moment here with the pause here. I think it would be a fair point to move to here. That Scrub, if he didn't save that, G1 would be leading, right? Maybe a pause, maybe not. That's, of course, in the past and a different debate altogether. But if he wasn't there and covering the lines, they've done that fabulous well. And this is the closest this game has been. We have dropped from 4-3, 3-2, 2-1, 1-0. Is this just the case we're cascading down in terms of the output?
Yeah, it felt like there was just that final bit of quality left the teams at the wrong moment. And conversely speaking, we saw a bit more of that late game 2 defense from both sides as well, where if the ball wasn't on target from a runaway, then yeah, that's more unlucky than skill, because you're not expecting to have such an open shot at net. But otherwise, the good opportunities that both teams did create were met with a real stubborn resistance. And heading on to Deadeye Canyon, what we need to see from Hogan Mode now is to break the form book. It's been G1 Hogan, G1 Hogan. Hogan need to get a step up in this series, Danny. Otherwise, I fear that their fate will be rather similar to the opponents that they beat to get into this grand finals.
We need an umpire relic.
Can you see any? Oh, there is Scrub Killer. Well, it was a nice cameo. That's cameo off the kickoff. It was lovely to see him. Not for long. Could not have started this game any worse, Hogan Mode. And if there's any scenario that you don't want to see this team in, it's losing very early on. They love to go ahead, and there's bullying in the back line. Dorito recovers so well. Here's another shot attempt, and Dying manages to recover as well. Huge moments for G1. Right down the other end, misses the double tap, does Dorito, but the damage has already been done. Still 1-0.
A nice idea by Resi, especially Harry floored at least the idea, trying to get the ball originally bouncing to on the wall here by Hogan. It leaves very much something to desire. A lack of a pinch there comes out. Growly lacking a boost here. So pretty much everybody about under 50 other than Growly with the major pickup here. And he's played that quite smartly. You talk about intelligence there. Growly doesn't get a lot of respect in the scene, but he deserves it. You talk about this being the MVP or the star man at the moment. He has played so far exceptionally well.
Yeah, both him and Rezi are almost the epitome of bubble player in EU. They've never quite broken through to RLCS caliber, at least on a consistent basis. With Hogan mode, they have found that opportunity. With Hogan mode, they had an opportunity here. Scrub Killer's chosen to go wide, and it was a nice idea. Rezi back to Growly, he's got to go high, lures out Atomic. Great communication from G1, finds the mark, gets the clearance.
Rob's wasted that ball. He's going to have to play this one across diagonally. And Growly's done well, at least gets something from it. And Dorito's just launching this one down here. You could just sense here that both sides know this is the game to win here. Go match point, championship point. If you lose here, you've got to win 2 on the bounce without conceding. And you know what? It's telling. Players are cracking under what they're trying to do. And that is a world-class save by Rezi.
Couldn't agree more. Close one. And another double commit. Lovely pass back. But the pressure from G1 is unrelenting. Big demo to relieve it. But unfortunately, it's right into the hands of Atomic. Here's Rezi. He's trying to find Growly. Growly has to turn around. He has to 180. Right idea, wrong placement. Growly helps it on. All 3 players of G1 forced into their own half. Rezi with a little pop-up. But it only finds orange players. Here's Atomic. Tries to break the legs of Growly. Spike up, backboard. We're waiting for more confirmation of who this falls to. It's Dorito yet again. Possession firmly in the hands of G1.
Rezi to take ownership of the play, but unfortunately, possession's 9/10 off the law, and Atomic lays down the law. 2-0.
It's just that horrible moment where you realize that your options are limited. Scrub Killer, he waits, he hesitates. He's waiting for the play. It's the right call, but he also knows that if he had just committed to a run across net, his car probably meets the ball. It probably goes away. Has-beens, what-ifs. Can't think about that now. You're 2-0 down, potentially almost 3. Throws it away. Hogan mode need a goal.
See what they are made of.
Oh!
Metal is underneath the skin here because the emotions could be running high. The heart rate may leave you to make that mistake here, but Hogan mode can't afford, as you said, to think about that. And Growly's just let this set up here, and that's a key opportunity let through the fingertips that Hogan had there.
Rezi running on fumes, gets that second touch. There's Dying. He was helped out by Growly somewhat. Here's Scrub Killer. And Dorito, soft touch. Growly fast. Rezi waiting. Rezi fighting! Oh, and Rezi performing like a maestro on stage!
He sits there with a small white little stick and says to the clarinet section of getting the trumpet ready, and you know what? You can just hear maybe the music starting to play. The rhythm was found, but the question for Hogamo, can they finally dance instead of talk?
Oh, it's a beautiful pump from Growly. But Dying, there were too many players back ultimately for Hogan mode to find their second immediately. Here's Scrub Killer. And that's a fortunate pinch for Dying. He's up and he finds the ball. Rezi's committed. Scrub Killer. Bit too light to touch. That's heading netward. Oh, it hit the bar, rattling it. How's your nerves, Hogan mode fans?
Shaking surely as Dorito, with not even a blink in his eye there. He was steeled eye firmly here. A scrub from the ceiling down. Growly just being a nuisance, no bump. And Rezi on the wrong side of the pitch here to make the second goal become even hopeful there at least.
Oh, Growly misses the touch. Rezi's got to bail him out. Was a good shot opportunity. Scrub Killer. Rezi loses out to Dorito. Growly forced back again. He's doing so many of these covering runs. It's no wonder that he's utilizing so much boost. Here's Atomic. Ooh, Rezi waits him out. Good work. It's Growly, Dorito on the scene. Scrub Killer. They are being suffocated in their own half. It's still 2-1. They've got to travel the length of the pitch and score. seems like a tall mountain for Hogan mode. It gets even taller as Dorito meets them in the middle. Dying throws it to the green stuff. They're one game away from successive Odyssey titles.
And it's just not the grass they hit, it's the cash as well. They could be winning here, G1, if they can grab that next one here. But Hogan mode, what they were capable of doing of getting back into it. But again, it's like the sort of dog tear of the book here. You just know somebody's read it multiple times, and when you make the same mistake, it's just unfortunately the same error occurring. They have to find a way to expulse that off their record here, because Relic, if they do that even once in the next 2 games, they will not become champions here.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Dying, honestly. I don't think he's having a particularly standout game. I don't think anybody really is, with the exception of Growly, particularly on the defensive side. But a lot of these game 6 into game 7 sort of situations, even as far back as game 5, when you're looking to get control of the series again, it's all about that big day mentality. And I'm seeing that from Dying. A much more complete performance from any point before, whether it be semis or quarters. Can he do it in game number 6? Can G1 negate the obvious double-edged sword that is a game 7?
Gonna be one of those ones where you would like to avoid it, but if you are doing it, it will be the test of this, and it will be, of course, maybe even a question mark of why wasn't it Ollie in this situation here. But that's a fabulous save, and Scrub, like game number 2 and 3 ago, Relic, missed opportunity and a hair of a difference.
Scrub Killer against Dying to the backboard. He leaves it. Growly on hand yet again. Dorito straight back in with a shot. Lovely pinch off the top of the box, sorry. Dying on hand. Demo, the caught out is Atomic. Growly 1v1 loses control. Oh, what a touch from Rezi. Atomic was waiting, he was lining it up. And here he goes again. He's got boost, he's got the flip. But there's off to the side. It's Growly on hand yet again. Now down the other side. Big Demo. Growly goes high but Dying. As if on cue, the boy is stepping up on the occasion.
He's going to be looking back at the series, and he knows that that was the moment he has stopped the on-cave, the attack here of the 2 new captains in the general. Scrub effectively here leading the charge against their net here. It's been battered, bruised and almost wilted at times here, but they've held on fabulously still. But Scrub, it's his time, maybe his time once again to show what he's got, and Growly make sure at least stays in the final third.
The confidence is there at least to commit your anchor, whoever that might be at the time in the rotation. Scrub Killer has to throw it downfield, thrown straight back. Growly goes skyward. Atomic lies in wait. Growly to Scrub. It's Atomic who wins the day. Dying, misses, or was it communicated? It's now Scrub Killer. Lovely positional play to Growly. Misses by a hair's width.
Another chase downfield. Down sets it up, but it's too far, too much, and it's just been popped in the middle. This one has to be a softer touch here. Growly cannot do anything. When you play that tight to the wall here, you're pretty much gambling on G1 not responding due to a lack of boost or not reading the play.
Growly close again. They're finding a good connection, Scrub Killer and Growly. Close, but not close enough. It's Growly from the corner. 23 boost, hopes and a dream. Goes to the backboard via Atomic. Keeps it close to the chest. Rezi helps it on its way. Scrub Killer to Rezi, and it's a lovely reactive save from Dorito straight back in, and the counter-attack is on. Atomic, it's on target. Scrub Killer palms it up and away via Rezi.
That was assassin-like, and that's a fabulous roar from Growly.
We were thinking it was going to be Scrub and Growly. No, it's Rezi and Growly. Lovely call. You could see it was meant. Stolen straight off the palms of his teammates and into the net. Just shy of 2 minutes left, and Hogan mode have perhaps the most important goal of their tournament.
Certainly, but it's a case of, can they hold on to it? Cliched as it gets here, Rezi just been taken away. That's what happens when you slow it down in a high-paced game as well. But my words, G1, you just got to stop Hogan, and you cannot do it, it feels like here.
Rezi. Shadow play. Oh, another miss from Growly. He doesn't want that in defense, let alone offense. Dying far post, hits the bar, Atomic, and it comes off Dorito. Too busy attacking players, not thinking about his position in regards to the ball.
Another passing play, not as good as what we just saw before. Hogan maybe to show it how it does again here, pops it high up. Rezi just throws it away here. G1 sniffing, breathing down the necks of Hogan Mode, but they are feeling not uncomfortable. They're welcoming this challenge.
Atomic! Oh, it's another big save, this time from Rezi. But the continued siege is causing obvious issues. Hogan Mode need to find some pressure relieved, and they do. Oh, if it was on target, that's surely it for Hogan Mode into game number 7. Not on this occasion, and Scrub Killer once again trying to recycle something, trying to drag apart G1, but G1 are okay with that, positionally speaking, perfect. Lovely demo, the pop-up, and Scrub Killer meets it.
Almost felt like the old-fashioned medieval times there. The archers had their arrows, the bow was ready for the target, but slightly too wide, and the drawstrings pulled up here. The bridge has to be closed by Hogan Mode to defend their 1-0 lead like their lives depend on it. Back walls there, Rezi to run all the way back, Scrub, just in case if he doesn't do it. But this is fabulous. The encore, the delivery, the purpose. It could be over at least, but G1 fighting to the bitter end here.
Such a smart demo from Scrub Killer, and Growly kills it. Neo Tokyo is not where this series ends. We head to Champions Field.
Where it should be, Relic. Where this day and these two teams deserve. G1, the previous and more importantly the defending champions, against Hogan Mode, who are blistering when it comes to the offense here, but credit here where the defense was. 4 fabulous saves, far top right, bottom left sometimes. They've dived and ducked and weaved, but can they wove themselves a win? That is their question.
The form book says G1 wins next. I asked Hogan Mode to burn that form book 2 games ago. One more chance, or they are sadly second placed team. Interesting to see, 7 to 5 shots, but 2 players out of the 6 failing to get a goal on target, a sign of the increased pressure on both sides to be defensively sound, perhaps?
It could be, but I'm going to sit here and just allow maybe a small bit of wiggle room here, that the fact is the pressure is to the situation. They're playing too fast, and maybe that's why we might see these irregularities pop up. But you have one chance to serve it out here, Relic. It's just who has the biggest serve. Will we see a kickoff goal? Let's find out.
Hogan Mode. G1 for all the marbles. The kings and the pretenders to the throne, or royalty claiming it as their rightful ownership. We will see. We will see. 5 minutes and whatever added time might be necessary to decide. And Hogan Mode won't get much of an attack here, broken down quite successfully by G1. And Dorito with a full transition. Rezi's up, Dorito doesn't care. Dorito, oh, lovely redirect. It's Growly on clear-up duty.
Those are the half percentages, what you have to score, and that pin should be setting up quite nicely. The clearance downfield even better, and our good friend Crafters will be talking about the midline. That's been controlled by both sides here to deal with it. But Dorito, what a harassment that was!
Growly could not move. Like a deer in their headlights. It wasn't just a machine, it was a freight train running towards them. Ironically enough, if they had moved, they probably would have made the save. It's First Blood G1.
Dying. Came on to it, the same play done twice, and that's a terrible commit tactically. Gets this save a long bump, and it could be Hogan's turn to respond.
Huge disruption from Dorito. Atomic takes over. Scrub Killer backpedaling. Growly in place. Up against his own backboard, buying time. And that's a lovely round the corner. Scrub Killer helps us on its way. But there's dying off his own backboard. to save it for G1. Rezi teed up beautifully. It's another big defensive effort from G1, who are all back, all contributing, all defending. It's Dorito now with the save. It's unrelenting, but Rezi's flubbed it. It's a huge misplay, but it's not going to be punished.
Center stage. And right now, it's the question is who can remember their lines here. As Hogan Mode is trying to find the right pathway through the G1 net here. Good save back into the middle. It's crept on over. The line was sitting there. Well, it was Hawkeye or VAR. It said no goal.
Bit clear. And it's Scrub. Oh, challenge one. Brutish from Atomic. Infield. There's Rezi. Atomic, that falls kindly for Growly. He's on his bike. It goes straight towards net. It goes straight towards dying. Scrub killer, backboard. Has to try and muscle his way past three. Not gonna happen, not today. Atomic has it stolen off him by Dorito. Goes for the corner. Dying, it doesn't need him. Dorito with directness.
Hogan Mode with questioned the defensive capabilities, but the bump there by Dying. We said this in the green room, I think it's only right to say this here. Maybe a butterfly, but he has blossomed beautifully here.
Meanwhile, Ogre Mode's wings are being clipped right in front of our very eyes. Rezi gets one dunk. Here's the backup. Oh, it's a massive moment again. I keep on saying it because it's true. It's dying yet again. The responsibility this young man is taking. That's a shot at the near post, and Rezi misses. Growly, too much mustard on the reset. On the recycled, Scrub Killer has to try and buy time. What a pinch between those two. Atomic always follows it up, and now on the counter-attack again. It's Hogan Mode. Bump on dying, no demo on dying, and Atomic defuses the bomb.
There was quite literally too much time talking about muscle and flexing. Atomic, Dorito, and Dying. Three Spanish players showing every ounce they deserve the respect. And Hogan Mode, they have met the bubble. They have unfortunately been popped here.
Get me on the phone. I need a soap. No, not a soap, my apologies. I need like a sponge. A sponge as successful as soaking up soap. As we see G1 soaking up the pressure here today. Counter-attack after counter-attack. They've got Hogan Mode down in game number 7. But 90 seconds left, 1 goal per 30. Not impossible, but they've got to score, and they've got to score soon. More importantly, they can't give G1 more opportunities like we see here. It's time ticking, it's clock burning, and G1 have certainly mastered that art in the past.
We're seeing Hogan Mode's dandruff due to all the scratching of the head here. What to be done, but unfortunately it's suds and tears here, crying here of maybe trying to find some kind of goal. You talk about 1 in 30, it's down to 20. The time management, the wasting, it's almost played too well, too comfortably by G1 in this game 7.
Rezi demoed for his troubles, dying in field, and there's Growly, fast, I like it. Dorito, safe, but bumped out the way. Here's the moment, and it's Atomic on hand as well. Captain by name, captain by nature, is going to end up on their own backboard again, but that's another 30 seconds off the clock.
They're doing exactly what they have to. Don't need to score, keep the ball away here. And Hogan Mode and all their fans there probably felt invincible coming in, but that is one of the 3 they required. 21 seconds, Relic, to sit there and maybe gasp and hope at the oxygen tank, but unfortunately it might be 1 breath away.
Today has been a tournament of a lot of kickoff goals. Will we see one there? Well, Scrub Killer wins it, but not for too long. It's dying. Oh, this would be the statement! Top pocket!
You wanted a throne, and Dying is sitting there across the kingdom with his 2 fellow teammates who's won it before, and just say, bow down to me.
Only who? Hogan Mode, valiant effort. But they were always 1 step behind. Climbing the ladder for a second time, for a second consecutive month. G1 our number one in Rising Stars Odyssey.
What a series. We have talked about maybe this one going the distance. We talked about how outstandingly well that these two sides, and I don't want to gloat, don't want to steal the moment away from this. I did say this is probably going to be the final. It's lived up to the expectations, but Relic, G1, what a team to be scared of.
We said it at the top of the show, didn't we? One step back for potentially 2 steps forward. Well, Danny, if this is the 1 step back, I'm going to basically recycle what I was saying to Spooks. Color me impressed. Dying, I was questioning the mental credentials going into crunch time of this series. If there was any player who stepped up more consistently than others, it was this young Spaniard. I think G1 are onto something. I'll put my colors to the mast.
Well, while we sit there and maybe looking at potentially colouring the book here and trying to work everything out, while Spooks and everybody else had their word, I think it's only fair to say and have our fair esteemed colleague have his. Jam, my words.
You don't have to have any words anymore, Danny Relic. We've been treated to a grand final. Not just to end all grand finals, but definitely close. The G1 tornado was here, and it gotten harder by the end. It's gotten much harder to just wreck everybody left and right. And Hogan mode, any other day, I feel like that roster has all it takes to start taking names. They already did. That's why we've been hyping them up so much. It's not just the fan base. They really are that good. But G1, my goodness. And I think Dying played a very integral part of that team. Imagine having a tryout and just immediately knocking it out of the park. I think that's exactly what the gameplay showed right there. But folks, this is the end of the day. Somehow we ran out of Rocket League to do, but there's definitely no doubts that today has been great. And let's just take a look at the bracket as it was going on through the day. We started. Feels like forever ago, Relic, but at the start of the day, G1, we started with them, we're ending with them.
Most certainly. It was not exactly the easiest of routes either. They dropped a game against Sick, they dropped a game against Hosky, they dropped a game against SK, they dropped 3 here against Hogan mode. But what's important in a championship winning team is the ability to get it across the line. That's kind of been a theme of today, and a theme that SK Gaming, they failed to do. Hogan mode, they failed to do. Worth mentioning, by the way, that Hogan mode, really strong resilience, considering that they lost considering they just about won 4-3, I should say, against Charlotte, to be able to take it to a second Game 7 in a row. Nothing to be sniffed at. It's been a brilliant day, a fantastic tournament. What a pleasure to cast it.
Danny, for the second time in a row, G1, that's a double. They're now sitting on their throne even more comfortably. And do we have who has the guts, who has the power to even knock them off? They must have been considering that Odyssey is now their home. Do we see anybody stepping up to them in 2 months' time?
Oh, that's going to be a difficult question when the season will be truly over, and we might see some mad rosters there to use your opening as well, Jam. To have that try out one player. Let's not forget RSO won. We had Zen here, and Vitality had their first ever victory under him as well too. The fact that G1's done it with 2 different lineups effectively. Who is going to do it? Jam, if I had a crystal ball, I would be a coach because I don't know, because that's why we play these out, because it's fabulous when we have these outcomes like this.
I thought we all had crystal balls, like standard issue. Also, we get scripts delivered before the broadcast. We actually just make changes in the script because we think that some of the things are much more fancy than that. And honestly, the best thing we could have hoped for: 2 back-to-back Game 7s, Hogan mode, winning one, G1 winning the other. But bravo to everybody who has participated in today's tournament. Again, starting from 16 teams down to just 2 in the grand finals, and G1, I don't know, adding a 2 right next to their name, although I'm pretty sure copyright infringement, G2 over in the NA side is going to be very cross, incredibly cross with that. But bravo, just a huge round of applause for G1 and everybody who has participated. But folks, Odyssey is not over. We are midway through it, but there's still 2 more tournaments to go. We are obviously going to be taking a big break before we return. Of course, it's the major. It's the Worlds, is the Women's Carball Worlds as well. Folks, don't miss that. But next time, Rising Stars Odyssey presented by Ally is going to be on your screens, is going to be September 2nd and 3rd. September 2nd, that's your qualifier day. If you want to play in a tournament, you have your chance. There's nothing is bad. It's just you need to be one of the best 12 teams. And today, today we've seen a lot of promise from many of them. Shayland Esports first, that comes to mind. And of course, then we'll return for the final edition of Rising Stars Odyssey, of course, September 16th and 17th. So plenty more chances every single time. It's a $14,000 prize pool. And of course, today G1 for the second time in a row are walking away with $6,000. Nothing to be sniffed at. And I'm pretty sure everybody who is a hopeful is going to be just hoping straight up that they come up with something like that. But we're closing down. It's the end of the show. So folks, Relic, any last thoughts before we say goodbye and listen to the wonderful outro song that follows every single Rocket stream?
I got one piece of advice for anybody who isn't convinced by these sorts of tournaments. You have a chance to earn money. We're not talking about pocket change here. We are talking about rent money. We're talking about job money. Don't turn your nose up at these tournaments. The quality is great. It keeps you fresh, especially post-Worlds. Rostermania is going to be crazy. What a perfect training ground for anybody who's looking to feel out what needs to be felt.
And Danny, you're our resident wise man. Any wise words?
Oh, any wise words? It's just simply just thank you for watching and keep on doing it, because without everybody here, what's the point?
And with those wise words, folks, thank you very much for watching. This has been Rising Stars Odyssey, presented by Ally and Cyanix. The draw with JamesBot and Rizza, our North American counterpart, is going to be on your screens in just a moment. We're going to be throwing everybody over there, and you don't want to miss it. If you didn't get enough of EU Rocket League, there's EU Invasion happening. Team BDS, Moist Esports, Team Liquid all have chance to take the NA crown. They are the invited teams for this edition of the draw. OC's Ground Zero Gaming is there. Apex Elevate is there as well. Chances are NA is just gonna be left with nothing, and EU is gonna win twice in one day. But until then, we've been The Rocket. You have been awesome, and we'll see you next time.